About as simple as it gets. Oh, but the log's heavy. We're going to do an angle because the big end rolls faster, so I want it. The mill is close to the ground, so it's easy to step over. Not much below. That tree is actually pretty straight, except for there's an 1.5 inch difference. So I don't know if you can be able to see that. I have some 1/2 inch pieces of plywood. And I have a 5/8 piece of plywood, so I'm just splitting the difference. I'm going to just pick this end up just a little bit. And of course I got a nice 4x4 here, so it's lots of leverage. It's pretty easy. One hand, gently push down on it. So we'll be needing the cant hook because that log's heavy. I think that's about where we want it. I just do one log dog in there. Hope I can do this. I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna try and show you, for those who don't or haven't seen this, moving my blade up, down, clickety-clack, where I want it. So I don't need to measure with a tape measure. This is my scale here. So when this scale shows exactly 10, my log is actually bigger than that, because it's showing, it allows for each cut. So if I'm going to cut 1 inch, there's a 1/16 taken off for every one of these cuts. So we're going to be 10, you know, and then there's 10. So we're going to be just about 11 inches with our log. You know, we got 10 times 1/16. So will be actually 11 and 2/16, I think, somewhere in there. But so I don't want to take a big thick slab. I'm going to move the mill up so that I'm taking it so that it's just giving me about 7 inches across here. And when I take the next cut, which will be just about right where the blade is now, it'll give me a 1 inch board, and it allows for the blade cut and whatnot. So we're going to try and show you a little bit closer up how it So you can see there, with that slab off, I pretty much have 7 inches between the bark, so if I go just a little more, I'll be able to get a 7.5, and down at this end where it's a wee bit wider, we're going to have very little bark. We're going to get just a tiny bit on the edge, but that's okay. The other side is going to be straight and it's not going to have any bark, so we're going to, because it's like that, it'll be good all the way to the other side. So we're going to flip it over. Always try to get in the center of the log, and yeah, less trouble tipping it. I mean, this is a 13-inch tree, so it's a fairly big tree. Come on, a little bit. She lays down, and we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I don't need my little plywood in there for this cut, but I will turn it again and I will put that plywood back in for the following cut after. Make an hour-long video, but 10 1-inch boards. Take a thinner cut on this side with the slab, and that will allow me to take, put my hand in the way. That will allow me to take one more cut off that I'll get a 1x6, but otherwise I just take a thicker slab and I lose that. What I was explaining is, see here I'm measuring, and I get a tiny bit of bark, but I can get a 1x6. Pretty easy. I got 5.5, I got 6 inches, very easy. So, and the other end is a little bit wider, so there'll be no rain on that side of it at all. Count your clicks and go down, go always down below. Take that slab off. For just a minute. I see a lot of people just hit the end of the log and shut their mill off so that they can explain what they're doing, but that's hard on the engine. So this one here, this side is nice and wide. This side has bark, so I'm going to put it back on the mill after, you know, get it squared over, I'll put it back on and we'll just trim the edges off. We'll show you how we do that in a little bit, but we're going to flip this thing back over. This little nothing here is kind of like a stopper, but it's actually to lift and put my 5/8 piece of plywood back in there. Now it wants to teeter-totter. So, yeah, one hand and push that. It's a big lug. Just 4x4, you got the leverage. Does a good job. Now, we just want to make sure that we're straight on the other side. 90 degrees with your bunk. Looks good. You just got to remember where your log stop is, don't cut it off. So when I tipped it over on my scale, it would not quite give me what I wanted. But this, if I just shaved it without taking a thick slab, I've only got about 4 inches wide here. It gets up to, 6 inches wide at the end. So what I'm going to do is just take another little slab off, and because when I look at my scale, I take one less saw cut, look at my scale, and if I set it here at 9.5, then I can move it up to 8 and I can make a 2x10. So this is actually a 9.5 inch cant, so I'm going to just take about a 1/2 inch slab off there, and we bounce you around. All right, bounce you around. I'm hoping I'm able to get a little bit of video for you that's quality to watch. a bit of bark on this one and it was too wide, so I'm gonna pull that down, and then we can tip that over and trim it off. Put it up there and trim that off, and that'll make a nice 1x8 or 7.5. I put my hand over the end of this thing, and then probably can't hear me, but yeah, just trimming it down, and it makes a nice nice board. And then we're going to flip that over and show you a little what we're hammering out.